In the summer of 1962, the Beatles stood at the edge of something immense. Their sound, honed in the smoky clubs of Hamburg and Liverpool, was about to explode across the globe, catapulting them into a realm of unprecedented success. But this pivotal moment, just months before their debut album would etch their names into history, was marked by a quiet yet profound shift: the departure of their drummer, Pete Best, and the immediate arrival of Ringo Starr. The band, on the cusp of a destiny they couldn't yet fathom, made a decision that would forever alter the melody of rock and roll. Best's abrupt exit remains one of music's most enduring what-ifs, a story often painted as an act of injustice that left him adrift while his former bandmates soared to legendary heights. It was a move described as both ruthless and a stroke of genius, depending on who you asked. This unfolding story dives into the layers of reasons behind Best's departure, tracing his challenging life after the Beatles, a stark contrast to their meteoric ascent and the unexpected recognition that eventually found him. Best had been with the group since August 1960, a steady presence through their grueling residencies in Hamburg, Germany. These nights were crucial, forging their stage presence and sharpening their sound, and Best was an undeniable part of that crucible. Pete Best wasn't just a person behind the drum kit. He was a strong, reliable performer who helped draw crowds to their energetic live shows. He was remarkably popular with the fans, so much so that some in Liverpool even affectionately referred to the group as Pete Best and the Beatles. His mother, Mona Best, owned the Casbah Coffee Club, an essential early venue that helped cultivate the band's rising talent. That summer, their manager, Brian Epstein, secured a recording contract with EMI Records, with George Martin slated to produce. Pete Best had played on these initial audition tapes and recordings, his beat integral to their early promise. His presence was an integral and important part of the rise of the Beatles, and he shared the same hard times they did as they honed their craft. Yet, a subtle paradox existed. Best's strengths in live performance and his local popularity, so crucial in those early days, may have unknowingly nudged him toward the exit as the band's aspirations shifted toward studio precision and a unified global image. As George Martin began preparing for EMI's production, the subject of drumming inevitably arose. Martin expressed a desire to use a session drummer, feeling Best's drumming simply wasn't strong enough for recordings. While Martin later clarified he never outright demanded Best's removal, his professional critique became a powerful catalyst. The other band members, who had already been impressed by Ringo Starr's drumming and felt that Best's personality didn't quite mesh with their evolving dynamic, seized the opportunity. Paul, John, and George made the decision in a secret meeting, then tasked Brian Epstein with delivering the news, a move Lennon later admitted was cowardly. Best recalled the dismissal as sudden and without warning. He was told his drumming wasn't up to par, a reason he found perplexing after 2 years with the band. The official statement released to the public cited mutual agreement, a polite maneuver for public consumption. This moment highlights how Martin's professional assessment provided the spark but deeper interpersonal motivations, a yearning for stronger social bonds and a more cohesive group dynamic that Ringo seemed to embody, possibly coupled with a touch of professional jealousy over Best's popularity, were likely the true drivers. John Lennon famously stated, "By then we were pretty sick of Pete Best too because he was a lousy drummer, he never improved." Paul McCartney echoed this sentiment, saying, "We really started to think we needed the great drummer in Liverpool, and the great drummer in our eyes was this guy called Ringo Starr." Best's drumming ability, described by George Martin as not up to the task for studio work, and noted by critics for issues with timing and a lack of authority, stood in contrast to Best's own belief that he was as good, if not better, than Ringo, and sounded perfectly capable on BBC sessions. This suggests he was a capable live drummer whose style simply didn't translate to Martin's exacting studio expectations at that specific time. Following his dismissal, Pete Best faced an uphill battle. He fell into a deep depression, withdrawing from the world. He attempted various musical ventures, but with limited success, eventually leaving the music industry for 2 decades. He took on a job in a bread factory, and later in the civil service. The weight of his experience became immense, leading him to a struggle with mental illness and even an attempt to end his life in the mid-1960s. Meanwhile, concurrent with Best's struggles, the Beatles were experiencing an explosion of global success. Their debut album, Please Please Me, released in 1963, launched them into superstardom. They quickly became the most successful band the world had ever seen, entering a period of extraordinary creativity and forever shifting the landscape of popular music. The timing of Best's dismissal just before this avalanche of fame amplified his personal tragedy, creating a profound psychological burden. As Pete Best himself later reflected, basically they had a record in the English charts within the month of me being kicked out. What does that do to a person? A significant turning point for Pete Best arrived with the Beatles anthology project in 1995. This expansive undertaking included many early recordings featuring Best, finally cementing his place in Beatles history and, perhaps more importantly, bringing him a substantial sum of money. And this financial windfall provided a crucial sense of security and a long overdue acknowledgement of his contribution. Beyond the monetary recognition, Pete Best has continued to play a role in preserving the Beatles' legacy. He formed the Pete Best Band in 1988, embarking on tours worldwide. He and his brother also transformed the Casbah Coffee Club, that early crucible of the band's sound, into an Airbnb, allowing fans to step back in time and experience the band's formative venue. In April 2025, he announced his retirement from public appearances. To his credit, Pete Best appears to have genuinely moved beyond the initial pain of his dismissal. He acknowledges the hardship he endured but emphasizes resilience, focusing on the present and future. He expresses a profound sense of pride in this small yet significant part of the Beatles' legacy, often reflecting on having lived two lives. As he so eloquently put it, "It's not about yesterday, it's about today and tomorrow." You mentioned Beatles, and it's the euphoria that is. I mean, that's the legacy they've left, and it's wonderful for me to have been a small part of that. The dismissal of Pete Best was a complex tapestry woven from various threads: George Martin's professional assessment of his studio drumming, the band's yearning for Ringo Starr's cohesive personality, and possibly underlying tensions stemming from Best's popularity. The decision, though undeniably painful and likely imperfectly handled by young men safeguarding their burgeoning future, was pivotal. They couldn't have possibly foreseen the immense success that lay ahead, nor could they have known how to navigate such a sensitive situation with professional grace in the moment. This event vividly underscores the often brutal, unpredictable nature of the music industry and the capricious currents of fame. Despite the devastation and struggle he faced, Pete Best's story is ultimately one of remarkable resilience. The anthology project ensured his historical recognition and financial security, allowing him to finally embrace his unique and undeniable place in the Beatles' narrative. He remains an integral part of their formative journey, a testament to the complex human stories that lie beneath the glittering surface of rock and roll history, proving that even a brief role can leave a lasting impact. His ability to move forward, to find peace and purpose, offers a powerful lesson in grace and acceptance. Thanks for watching this video. If you want more content from this channel, you can kindly subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell button to be notified of our latest videos. If you also enjoyed watching this video, you can show your support by giving the video a thumbs up, and you can also share your thoughts in the comment section down below.